If it's happening in New York, New Jersey, or Long Island, hear about it with Joe Piscopo. Mornings, 6 to 10 on AM 970. The Answer.
Portions of this show sponsored by Route 22 Honda.
8:24. This is the Piscopo in the Morning Show. Joe Piscopo's off this week. Frank Morano here with Al Gattullo, and very, very pleased to have in studio not only distinguished legal analyst Anthony Pope, but titan of industry, Wall Street legend, the one and only John Tabacco, the CEO of the Token Team. John, what exactly is the Token Team? A couple of folks asking in our Facebook chat.
Well, Frank, you know, we've been talking about it on this show for the last couple of months about cryptocurrencies and about digital currencies and this emergence of this new digital economy. And many companies now are starting to realize that it's far more efficient and is far more economical for them to access public capital. So companies want to raise money, small companies, startups, entrepreneurs. They want to get into this new crypto economy. Hey, how do I use cryptocurrency or digital currency to get my business off the ground? Raise $1 million, raise $5 million, raise $50 million. What we do is we're consultants and advisors where companies come to us from the earliest stage when they need a couple $100,000 to companies that we've talked about on this show, like Cloak Phone or something. They raise $50 million. We give them advice. We show them how to structure their deal. We do due diligence with them to make sure that the deal they want to bring to the table is legit, it's legal, it's regulatory compliant, it's in compliance with all federal securities laws, and then we hand it off to a friendly broker-dealer who has the investment banking and so forth. So we're kind of the shape-up guys. We get them in shape. We tell them if it's good, bad, or indifferent. A lot of bad. Try to find the good ones, and then put them on a path to accessing capital.
Now, you know the economy as well as anybody. We've seen some encouraging economic numbers last Friday and the previous Friday, but there are some areas of the economy that still seem to be cause for concern. The retail industry, for instance, I'm wondering, what's your take on how the economy is really doing?
Well, first and foremost, there are really no negative elements out there in the economy. The ones that we hear reported on over and over again by the left are minor things. The main thing is African American unemployment is at its lowest point in history, okay, under Donald Trump, the supposed racist. We have 4% growth, where we had Austin Goolsbee and Barack Obama out there telling us how the government needs to spend more money on social programs because we can't get to 1% growth. So we've quadrupled growth, lowest unemployment, lowest African-American unemployment, and people are crying about tariffs and this and that. American companies are going to be the beneficiaries of that. There'll be a little inflation in pricing, but I think I'd rather pay an extra 60 cents for this cup to say, made in America on it. That's me personally.
And Anthony, talking about tariffs, China slapping retaliatory tariffs on American goods, so much of what China imports from the United States is food. I mean, how do you think a country of 1 billion people is going to fare if all of a sudden they dramatically raise the price of food on their own citizens? I mean, I have to think there'd be food riots if this continues in perpetuity.
Yeah, there's no question. I think President Trump knows that. And this is nothing more than backlash from the liberals. The liberals will find anything to try to criticize President Trump. And like I said, I'm an independent voter. I don't like either party. I don't think neither party really serves us well. So this is not a partisan argument. I'm looking at just what's real. Tell me what's real, what's happening now. Like you said, 4.1% growth. How do you argue against that? It makes no sense to me that the regulations that he has eliminated, the way the economy is growing, how does not everyone stand up and applaud?
Well, I could tell you if things would have gone the other way,
my God,
then you can be sure he would be getting the blame.
There's no question about it, but I think I agree that the economy seems to be doing very well, and I'm not an economist. But let me ask you a question when you talked about Bitcoin.
Yes.
What do you think about Bitcoin? Has a future?
I think it's well documented on this show that I've made many pleas to our audiences that it's something to be considered. They should understand that it's speculative, and people should educate themselves greatly before investing in anything that's speculative. I thought, we talked about it at like 5,500 had hit the bottom. I actually warned people on the show about 7,000 to be careful because it could go lower. And I think right now it's kind of found a place, 8 to 10,000. I think it's a good vehicle to use to have diversity in your portfolio if you're well educated and it's suitable for you. And there is a forward value in a finite supply of anything. So,
because I did invest in it some maybe about a year or so ago, and what I did is I took my initial investment out, and then I kept the profit, and I'll play with that. Now I'm playing with house money.
Most people don't have the discipline to do that, but it's like when you go to the casino, you start with $1,000. If you're up 2,000, you put the 1,000 in your pocket, and then you're playing with house money, right? So that's what you're doing. Other people should be educated and not play with investment ideas.
So that's what the
I
token...
think it's going much higher. And look, people come to me and say, "Hey, I run a small fund. I want to understand how to invest in Bitcoin and what are the other valuable assets out there, Ethereum. There's
I have that too, and Litecoin. I have 3 of them.
Ripple." And we advise them. I'm giving.
Yeah, that's for sure. So where can folks go to learn more about the Token Team if they want to continue this conversation?
Well, they can go to thetokenteam.com anytime, and you can email me directly. I'll answer you myself, JT@thetokenteam.
Now, let me ask you both about this, John. In many incarnations of your business ago, right around the corner, you had a phenomenal movie studio or TV studio and a TV network way ahead of its time, not only in terms of what you were doing, but in terms of its name. It was called Uber TV.
That's right.
Long before Uber was a car service, you had Uber TV, which was an online streaming network. You had Bob Grant on there, Richard Bay, a host of great TV and radio personalities that folks in the New York area know. Alex Jones sort of took that Uber TV concept and built it up to a next level. Built up this whole network called InfoWars, developed a cult-like following. And he said some pretty crazy things on this network. The Sandy Hook massacre didn't really happen, that these kids were actors. Implied all sorts of things about different terrorist attacks being false flags operations. Saying that the government puts chemicals in the water to turn frogs gay. Almost any day he does some crazy thing on his show, but there are elements of it which are a very serious news show. During the campaign, Donald Trump went on this show, did an interview with Alex Jones. Now, Apple has become the latest to ban Alex Jones and InfoWars. The podcasts have been removed from iTunes for violating Apple's hate speech guidelines. This has been pulled from Spotify. The shows are no longer searchable on Apple's podcast app, banned on YouTube, banned on Facebook. What's your reaction, irrespective of what you think of Alex Jones, to this policy of social media companies banning certain content that they deem objectionable?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think that they may have just made, or they should, theoretically, they should have just made Alex Jones a hero of the left, right? Because when these liberals and these progressives want to protest and want to do all this crap, they're always standing on their First Amendment high horse. And now here you have a guy. Okay, maybe he's outlandish. Howard Stern said some crazy things. He didn't get banned by the FCC. Maybe almost, but he didn't. Right? This is the suppression of free speech. I'm not saying I agree with Alex Jones. I think he's out of his mind. But Frank, I'm also a P.T. Barnum-like entertainer. And Alex Jones serves himself well in many ways by saying the craziest crap. And everybody's talking about him. So, somewhere or another, the liberals should be saying, wait a minute, what about Alex Jones' First Amendment rights?
So
Obama threw Dinesh D'Souza in jail, okay, for making a bad movie about him, okay? And now they can't throw Alex Jones in jail just yet. So I guess, the liberals are going to force him off the air. And it's a point of view squelched. And that's why, I'm like Anthony and you. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a reformer. I'm an independent. And this is kind of what sucks about the system and the media right now.
Anthony, let me ask you. We only have about 2 minutes here, and we got to get to Mike Gallagher. But John alluded to the First Amendment, right? Facebook Apple, Google, YouTube, these are all private companies, right? The First Amendment prohibits government censorship of free speech. Nobody from the government's telling Alex Jones he can't say anything. But does John have a point that even though these are private social media entities, Facebook, YouTube, and the like, that maybe this is an infringement of his First Amendment rights?
No, I think it is. It's certainly arguable that it is an infringement. There's no question about it. And, the problem with liberals think that everybody's entitled to their opinion unless you disagree with them. And then all of a sudden the First Amendment takes a back seat. I mean, it's the most bizarre thing, but it is what is occurring right now. They're not even liberals, really. They're progressives. Because they're so far beyond being liberal, what we know or the definition of being a liberal. But I agree. I agree with John as far as it very well seems to be infringing on other people's First Amendment right.
The world is round. You know what I'm saying? This is where progressive almost equals up with the conservative, because now they should be theoretically sticking up for Alex Jones,
right.
Because his First Amendment rights. So it's like an orb, it's a conundrum.
Right, it's like when Alan Dershowitz defends the right of Nazis and Klansmen to march in Skokie. He doesn't like what the Ku Klux Klan stands for, but he believes in free speech and that they have a right to do that. All right, John. A lot of folks that are watching the live stream, and people can watch it on Facebook just by finding us at AM 970 The Answer. They're commenting on your outfit, which is very unique. I think that's fair to say. But also, a lot of folks wondering what it is that you're drinking that's in front of you. What is this?
Well, Frank, I know we're going to talk about it in the 9 o'clock hour, and I'm going to bring you guys a burst of energy.
Oh, boy.
Like you've never seen. This is the Elevate Smart Coffee, okay? And this coffee right here, 1 cup a day, gives you your daily dose of dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. I mean, I fancy myself always trying to get smarter every day, but they call this smart coffee. They call this happy coffee. Look how smart and happy I am.
Hey, you look pretty smart, pretty happy.
Starters, okay? I may have chosen the wrong suit, but I got the right coffee. Here it is.
Why did you choose the wrong suit?
No, I think you look good. People do like that. But it stands out.
Leave it to me to wear a 3-piece on a 100-degree day.
But it's bright. It's bright. It's great.
Because I drink my smart coffee in the morning. My mind is clear. I'm happy. I put on a bright and airy suit with a light tie. It's summer in the city.
Can I try a cup of this?
Looks great. Looks great.
Right. Let's start at 9.
Okay.
And we'll do a 1-hour test.
Enough.
We'll see how smart you get in 1 hour. But Elevate.
Can I get
smart
a head start
coffee,
on
that? We're going to start doing math problems in the next hour, boys.
All right. Now, this afternoon, if people really want to see a show, you and I are going to be across the street at 42 Broadway at the Board of Elections. Because they are trying to remove you from this obscure party position, Reform Party.
That's right.
You and my mom.
And your mom.
State committee member, because they're claiming.
They're discriminating against women.
They're claiming that our petition is improper because it doesn't say Reform Party State Committee Member 62nd Assembly District. It just says 62nd District. Now, I, who wrote this petition, filed a printer's error with the board saying, hey, it says the word Assembly District on here 5 times.
Right. This is the minutia doesn't matter to the listeners.
Right.
The bottom line is this. I'm like Nelson Mandela at the Board of Elections. You understand? They see my name. They want to throw me in jail. Okay? Steve Richmond is over there, and all he does is wait for my name to surface because me and you are the enemies of their enemies because we're reformers. And yes, today I am going to slaughter Steve Richmond,
figuratively,
the general counsel, figuratively, allegedly, verbally, at the Board of Elections, and I intend to be thrown off the ballot regardless.
Live from the smartwaytobuy.com studios. The following segment sponsored by The Token Team.
9:44. This is Piscopo in the morning. Joe is off this week. Frank Morano here with Anthony Pope, Al Gattullo, and the CEO of the aforementioned Token Team, John Tabacco. John, you've been this coffee that you brought us, this Elevate Smart Coffee, is pretty good.
This is the newest craze taking the nation. This is Elevate Smart Coffee. It makes you happy. It makes your brain clear. You notice I got my glasses.
Right, you look smarter already.
I've gotten smarter just in the last hour since we started drinking the smart coffee.
It's delicious.
But I wanted to test it out with you guys.
Right.
I don't endorse products if they're bullcrap. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm going to do a live test for the next few weeks. I'm going to be drinking the Elevate Smart Coffee. Just so you know, if people want to know how to get this, you can go to Elevate Smart Beverage, okay? And this is a place where people can actually make money if they believe in the product, because it is a multi-level marketing company, okay? And that means you can become a distributor if you like it and talk to your friends and tell them about it. And if they like it and they buy it, you'll make a little something off.
I've always been skeptical of those multi-level marketing.
You know, for years they've been scams. I've never been a participant. This is probably the one that I believe is really real. And to tell you the truth, Carl Icahn, okay, someone that I respect greatly, has recently said that MLMs are the new entrepreneurship for the 21st century because people can empower themselves, people can try the products themselves, and if you're out there joining something where you got to buy $500 worth of crap, you're getting scammed. But this is something that's good for you. It's healthy. It gives you your daily dose. You know, you get your dopamine, like all the kids are getting from their video games right now. You get your oxytocin, you get your serotonin, and you get your endorphins. And I'm telling you, you know I'm usually psyched up. But since I'm drinking this coffee, I'm ready to go in the morning. I'm awake.
And give us the website again for how to get it.
You can go to elevatesmartbeverage.com.
All right. Well, let's see how well this coffee's working. Let me ask you a quick question here and see how smart you are, whether it's the coffee or something else. What is the name of the Sultan who commanded the jihad conquest of Cyprus because he had grown fond of Cypriot wine?
Well, you know, Frank, it's funny you asked that, because I just traveled to Cyprus with my companion. We had a wonderful time. And the answer to that question is Salim, the Sat, took over Cyprus because he just loved the wine there, and then got drunk, slipped, fell, split his head open, and died.
Wow. Judges?
So,
Judges, is that correct? Yes. Wow. Very good. All right. Well done. Well done. Well done.
I'm smarter.
I'm
I got
impressed.
my Cypriot history down.
So, well, so let me ask you.
This is good. I'm gonna sleep with this thing tonight. I'm gonna leave you guys with a 24-pack.
Oh, thank you.
This. So if you want to have one, you need a little pick me up. If you're gonna have Steve Malanga on again, you might as well throw him a cup before he comes in.
Just to be clear, they're packaged. You put them in hot water, stir it up, put in your favorite creamer or sugar.
This is the most simple thing you can do. Get a cup of hot water like a tea, pour it in, stir it up. Add anything you wish. It's not a replacement. You're not going to not stop at Dunkin' or go get your OCD Starbucks. You do one of these quick. It gets you going. It's not recommended to have, any more than one, but I may have had 2 or 3 to rev up.
What do you think, Anthony? Honestly, you don't have to say nice things about it.
It tastes good. I mean, I don't mind the taste. I haven't, it's hard for me to feel smarter. I normally
you're pretty smart
already.
Exactly. Exactly.
He's not a good test case. This guy. Come on.
Well, I tell you what, I got
Let's
a
get
4 in
Darren
the morning.
in
I'm
here.
feeling pretty good. Yeah. So I got up in the middle of the night to be here. So.
I heard Anthony Pope while the Islamo author was in here say,
Robert Spencer. Yes.
Can I get that other cup of coffee?
All right, well, let's take 1 or 2 quick calls here before we continue with John Tabacco and Anthony Pope and Al Gattullo. I want to briefly discuss the mayor's race, not last year's, but 2021, which is already heating up, believe it or not. Let me say hello at 877-970-2999 to David in Manhattan. Hello, David. You're on the Piscopo in the Morning Show with Anthony Pope and John Tabacco.
Hi, I want to talk about Trump's policy toward Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Now, all of our allies, Germany, Britain, France, but even Japan, and some of our not so close allies, Russia and China, they all disagree with Trump's killing the Iran nuclear deal. And what's behind Trump's policy toward Iran, and it's being reported constantly on the internet and some news outlets, but no one talks about it, is that Trump's pro-Israel donors here in America.
There you have it, David. Oh, we almost made a whole show without someone blaming the Jews. I knew we had to see
David
it.
call all the time with the same agenda.
Oh,
everything for David.
He hates the Jews.
Starts and ends with the Jewish people.
Goodness.
What's the
He's
matter with
fired
this guy?
up. He waited on hold an hour to blame the Jews.
This guy, he's got a star named after him.
Exactly.
And he hates the Jews.
Oh, my goodness. 877-970-2999. Mike in Middletown, hello.
Good morning. On a lighter note, I'm so happy to hear an accentuation.
You want to blame the Chinese for something. Go ahead.
No, of course not. No, I just want to say I'm glad that I think Anthony spoke about the importance of vocational education. So I think it's great. I think we need to bring that back and reemphasize how important that is in our educational system.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, John. Talking about vocational schools, you before you were a Wall Street titan, you and along with your dad and your brother, you were in the construction business. You see fewer and fewer people on Wall Street that seem to have kind of an education from both sides of the track, as it were, these days.
Thank God, when we were kids, my father made us go to the job site and every summer learn how to do something else, a little woodwork and a little ironwork, a little concrete, rake, sweep, every dirty job he made us do it, which made us, I think, better people. Our parents really made us rounded back then. I'm trying to do the same with my kids. And Frank, I was also, if you remember, the high school football coach at McKee Vocational High School.
Oh, that's right. I had forgotten that, actually.
And there were a lot of kids that I coached in high school, and they were in that vocational school, and now I see them later, 15, 20 years later. Coach T, how you doing? I'm in the electrician's union. I'm a cop. I'm a fireman. I'm driving a sanitation truck. And you know what? They're happy as hell. Those kids that they learned how to do a little something. They're electricians, they're carpenters, they're working, and they're probably making more than most of the attorneys at this point getting out of law school, because there's not even enough jobs, I don't think, for these attorneys.
Yeah, listen, I wouldn't want to be coming out of law school now.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, Anthony, we all know that the third year of law school is kind of a waste, isn't it? What if we turned the third year of law school into a vocational training program? Make the third year of law school, you learn how to build a cabinet. You learn how to rewire a circuit. You learn how to unclog a drain. I mean, come on.
I would say my experience is, all due respect to attorneys, many of them are extremely book smart. But they don't have a lot of practical.
Well, so guys like Anthony who were
not Anthony,
like Anthony. Well, so I think this is what actually separates Anthony from your garden variety law school graduate. Is he was a cop first prior to being a lawyer, and he kind of got two educations as you did. Couple of minutes before 10 o'clock as we wind down here on the Piscopo in the Morning Show. Frank Morano here with Al Gattullo, Anthony Pope, and John Tabacco. Gentlemen, let me close by asking you about this story in the New York Post having to do with the New York City Council Speaker, Corey Johnson, who I think even though he's only been on the job 8 months, has been doing a great job and is 10,000 times better than his predecessor, Melissa Mark Viverito. But apparently, even though he's only been Speaker for 8 months and he's only 36 years old, he's evidently feeling out a run for mayor in 2021. You know what? Any thoughts about Corey Johnson as mayor, or the notion of, you know, people that have been on the job for 8 months already looking for their next job, Anthony?
Well, I think all politicians are always looking for their next job. It's either to be reelected or go forward, so that's not uncommon. No experience, of course. I think it's too early to tell exactly whether or not he has the credentials. But the threshold is very low after de Blasio.
Yeah, that's for sure.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, if the choice is him or Melissa Mark Viverito, John, I think he wins in a landslide.
Corey Johnson's the runaway winner, and you know, our good friend Jack is very close to the Speaker, and I wish him luck.
He's been on the show too.
I got to agree with Anthony that I don't really see the bona fides there. He's doing a great job as Speaker, but maybe he should be Speaker and, you know, be in a leadership position for a little longer before he tries to take on the biggest city.
Well, John, you know, a lot of people have been kind of getting Bloomberg nostalgic. Everyone couldn't get rid of him fast enough when it was his 12th year in office. A lot of people say we need kind of a business guy who's sort of independent-minded, not necessarily a Democrat. A lot of folks saying, actually, you might be a candidate for mayor in New York City. What do you think? Would it happen?
Well, I think they're right. I think our New York City electoral process needs to be cleaned up, needs to be reformed. I'm going to deny running for mayor at this time.
He's denied it, folks. That means
change.
That means you know he's running if he's denied it.
Everybody knows this guy. Now, everybody knows he can do a radio show. Joe Piscopo. Mornings, 6 to 10 on AM 970. The Answer.